Are you wanting to buy a home but feeling like you've already been priced out of the market? Have you considered purchasing a condo? They have some definite pros and some cons versus purchasing a single family home, and in today's video, I'll go over all of them for you. Hi everyone, Avin here, your agent guide, and in today's video, I'm going to go over the information you need to make an informed decision in comparing a condo versus a single family home. So to get started, let's just define what it is that makes purchasing a condo different from purchasing a single family home. And the biggest, most distinct difference is the way that you end up owning the real estate. When you purchase a condo, you end up getting full title or complete ownership over your individual unit or home in the development, and then you have an undivided interest in the shared portion, the shared spaces of the development or the building. What are some of the pros or cons in purchasing real estate in this way? Well, the first and most obvious pro is going to be price. The purchase price of a condo tends to be quite a bit lower than the purchase price of a single family home. Also related to cost is just your overall cost of ownership. Maintenance costs, you're responsible for inside your unit, but you're not responsible for the shared common areas. That's going to be covered in your HOA or your condo association dues, which I'll go over in a minute. Your property taxes are also going to be lower, which is a big pro for a condo versus a single family home. Your utilities tend to be lower, and your maintenance costs tend to be lower. Unfortunately, you do have the HOA or condo association dues, and that can be a negative because it lowers your overall purchase price or purchase power. So if you have $2,000 that you can afford in a monthly budget and your condo dues are $300 a month, then you can afford $300 less in overall payment. Another con in the column for a condo is while maintenance is covered in your HOA dues or condo dues frequently, it doesn't always cover everything completely. If the reserves aren't strong enough and there's a major repair necessary, you may end up also getting assessed a special assessment or a shared portion of the cost in a major repair, such as roof or siding, if the reserves aren't large enough to cover that. Hi everyone, I really hope that you're getting value out of this video, and of course if you're still watching, you probably are. If you could, go ahead and click the like and subscribe button below so you can keep getting this content, and if it is useful, please share it with someone else that might find value as well. Another con in the column for a condo is privacy. In a single family home setup, privacy tends to be much easier because you have more space between you and your neighbors, whereas in a traditional condo setup, particularly in the sense that we think of where you're purchasing an apartment in a building or in a densely packed development, you're much closer to your neighbors, and so it's more difficult to have privacy. So what about the distinctions between condo and single family home that aren't necessarily positive or negative? Well, there's quite a few. And the most obvious one is the land. In a single family home, you typically are buying a piece of land with it. So you're normally going to have a yard and extra space that you would have to maintain. Well, if you want to maintain that or you want that space, that can be a real pro. But if you're not into yard work, purchasing a house where you have to do a lot of yard work and weeding and mowing of lawns can be a burden. So it doesn't necessarily go one way or the other. It's going to be your preference. Another big distinction is going to be location. Condominiums, because they tend to be more affordable, allow you to live closer to the major metropolitan areas. If you want to live closer to the major metropolitan areas and have access to the amenities associated with it, higher and nicer restaurants, a more vibrant nightlife, better transit, maybe being closer to sporting venues, then that location could be a real reason to look at a condo. But if you want to get away from the hustle and bustle of the city and into a more quiet, more private area where you've got more land to kind of spread out, then a condo might be very uncomfortable for you. Then another distinction is going to be pets. Condo associations tend to have pretty strict rules on what's allowed for a pet. Breeds and size of pets are generally where you see the restrictions on there. And again, in a single family home, you can have whatever pets you want as long as your land can support it. Another big distinction is the flexibility of owning a single family home versus owning a condo. If you're really big into the idea that I really want to make my space my own and I want to go in and do some renovations and customize the kitchen and the cabinets and the bathrooms and the bedrooms and really rearrange your living space, then a condo is going to be a bad fit because usually that's going to require board approval before you can start the work. Whereas in your own home, you do have to get permits, but you can pretty much do whatever you want. And then a very common conversation we end up having with condo versus single family home is appreciation. And the general consensus or feeling is that a condo won't appreciate the same way as a house because you don't own the land. But that's not always the case. Depending on where you live, a condo could appreciate more because the demand is higher. So if you're in a large demand city or area, you might see the same level of appreciation or even greater appreciation. All right, so a few quick tips. If purchasing a condo seems like it might be the right decision for you, there's a few things you want to look out for in your purchase. Right off the bat, when you're purchasing the condo, you're going to want to look at what the association dues are going to be so that you can more accurately calculate your maximum affordability. The other thing you want to look at is in those association dues, what is included? Frequently, it will include utilities, not all, but some, such as garbage, water, sewer, and so that's going to make a difference in your monthly budget as well. As well as the HOA dues, you're going to want to look at the condo association reserves. You're going to want to look at the financials and kind of the notes on the condo association. You're going to want to see how much money they have in reserve. A well-run condo association should have a pretty healthy reserve for any major repairs that might come along. And if you do end up purchasing a condo, it's very smart to get on the board so that you have some say, or at least sit in on the meetings so that you have some say on the decisions about your development or your building. So while not a complete and comprehensive coverage and all of the pros, cons, and distinctions of a condominium versus a house, that should give you a pretty broad idea of what to look for. Hopefully this helps you make that decision. And of course, if you have any more questions, speak with your real estate agent, reach out to me with your questions, and I would be glad to help. And of course, if you're ready to move forward, check out my videos on how to hire a real estate agent for buyers, and check out my buyer's guide down below. It's free, click the link and you can download that. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.